Got it.
Hang on a minute. I got something I want to.
Okay.
That's the state song, right?
I like it. Yeah. Stephen Foster. Good song.
Far, far away. Yes, where my heart is turning
No. What do they teach you in school? Gosh. I lived in New York and I know that song.
Welcome to Legalized Negligence.
Swanee River. We're on the Swanee River, basically.
Welcome to Legalized Negligence, where we talk about Florida Statute 768.21, subsection 8. And Marcia Shepler and Sabrina Davis are live in Tallahassee. You can see right behind me, that's where they are. And they have both had a very busy day today. And they're going to tell us about what went on in Tallahassee at the state capitol. Ladies, it's yours.
We had some really great meetings with legislators, passed out folders with materials, made some new connections, and generally got a positive response and support from everybody we spoke to today. We have more meetings set up tomorrow, I think 11 tomorrow and 10 the next day. We're supposed to be running a table tomorrow somehow, but we're gonna have to be there in spirit and not in body. Because we are busy throughout the day.
And what were you?
Yeah, so
what was in the folders that you were handing out?
So we handed out a page on what happened to my dad, a page on what happened to Marcia's son, and then a thick stack of legalized negligence handouts that were stapled together, as well as each of us have a business card in the bottom two slots. And then on the front, it states the bills, Florida Wrongful Death Act, and the statute. The legislators, I felt that they were all very receptive. Mm-hmm. We spoke to a few aides. One aide actually falls into the category as he's single, 25 with no kids. And he's new. He just got that job in December last month. Because he asked me to email for an appointment, and I brought up my email where I've emailed that rep 6 times. So I was like, I have. And so he said he's new. He recently started to send a new email. And so, I feel like the Senate needs to move it first before the House does. I think that's probably going to be just like last year, but I hope it does move in the Senate this year. Mm-hmm. We were blessed to have the news with us all day, literally following us around. And they were very polite. They came in the rooms with us. They filmed the entire interviews between us and legislators.
Except for one, but because we tried to give them the option going in, like if you don't want the news to be in there, then,
everybody agreed except for one. They just were not ready for a media interview because it wasn't pre-planned. But
which news it was a really good day. Sabrina, which news station was that so people can know where to tune in and wait to hear the stories?
Well, they're in the middle of switching news stations, so let me get that answer to you when I have a definite, because they run on 5 stations, and I want to make sure I have the right letters before I say them, because I wouldn't want to be wrong.
Yeah, and plus, like any other news story, even if they do this story for the next 2 days, as far as the filming, they may want to strategically decide when they're actually going to air it.
Okay, so they'll let us know, and then that way we can let the people in the group and on YouTube where they watch our videos, we'll be able to give them a heads up when those stories are coming out.
Oh yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah, they did an amazing job, and I mean, it can be nerve-wracking and stuff, but I'll tell you something funny that happened. I was walking around, we were handing out folders, and there was a woman, and I heard her say, "I need a legislative aid." And I walked over and I was like, "I'll be your legislative aid." I thought she was joking. And she laughed. And she said, "Well, the Speaker of the House took my first one and DeSantis took my second one." And I was like, "I'd be happy to be your next one." And she laughed. And I didn't really know who she was. And then, you know, she walked away and I walked away. And so I was going around the cubicles and I came back to her and she was in an office with who turned out to be her husband. And I was like, I'm looking for this representative. And she was like, that's me. I'm like, you really need a legislative aide? I'm happy to be your legislative aide if you need one. And she's like, no, I have my husband here, but we'll figure something out. She really didn't have one.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like such a journey to be here because you don't ever know how you're going to connect with someone, but I can tell you, you connect with them and say, I'll be your legislative aide, like they will remember you. You know, that's the connections that I find are very important to make them remember you.
Yeah, like when we're approaching the aides, you know, from the desk to say something funny, you know, that will make them remember you and start off light, and it pretty much works every single time.
There's lots of legislators out on the streets.
Yeah.
We walked to the Capitol from here and walked back. There's tons that, you know, walk by, say hi, and keep walking.
There was when we were stuck in the parking garage, like behind the arm wouldn't open up for us, and we saw a legislator that we knew, and we're like both hanging out both sides of the car, going, "Hey, the gate won't open, but hi, how you doing?"
Oh, she turned around and
Yeah,
she's like, "Hey, will you be there tomorrow?"
Yeah.
So it was good. We got photos with everyone that we met with, even the aides, and I think it was a successful day.
Yeah.
There's a lot that said they would do their homework and look into it. And you know, I think the more we do this, the better the session will turn out. The more information we can get to them, the more we can be in their face, you know, letting our cause be known.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yeah, making the personal connection so they remember us and they care. There were no negative responses at all.
Good.
And we've gotten to the point where we have so many appointments set up, we really don't have room in our calendar over the next 2 days to fit anymore, and be able to get from one place to another. That's how busy we are. So it's a good thing.
So this table that you have set up, what do you have out on the table?
Well, we dropped the table off this evening to customs check in with them, and I don't know the people that were taking it, and we will have lots of handouts, the rat cards, the bookmarks, folders. Have the poster board on it with some pictures. We will have business cards with emails. You got, you know, Philip, Travis, myself, Marcia, all emails, phone numbers. And my cousin came up from the Ocala area, and she's going to help run the table because I knew I couldn't be at it all day. Marcia, we just found out today, can't be at it for the morning time. Well, I guess after that either, because appointments.
No, yeah.
So my cousin Christy, she's an RN, and she spoke a few times at delegation meetings. She's coming up to run the table. So there will be someone there. And we have an excellent spot. As soon as you walk in the Capitol and you go through security, we are right to the right. Like you can see us from outside the doors. We're like right there.
Cool. Well, that's where I was going with my question was, the last I heard from you, you still didn't have any help to man that table. And so I was going to kind of put out a call for anybody who watches this video. You know, if they can't do some things, maybe they could at least go help you man the table. But it sounds like you've got that covered now.
Yes, I do. And I mean, the location could not be better. I thought I was on the 4th floor. I didn't realize that there's a rotunda on the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. So I had to find the rotunda I was on, which is the 1st. And that's where we'll be set up, right when you walk into the right. We'll try to go live tomorrow from the table if we can. It might be early when we can go live because we have the state of the state address and then appointment after appointment all the way up until our last one as of now is at 4. And those are like every 15 to 30 minutes apart.
We're gonna be running back and forth between the Senate and the House because there was no way to schedule like all the appointments in the House in the morning, whatever, because we're at the mercy of when the legislators can meet with us. And if, if it was somebody we really want to meet with, we just say, sure, yeah, we'll make it happen.
I'm going to be in my office all day tomorrow because we've got rain all day long. So all it takes is a text, and in 10 minutes I can have a podcast set up to record. If you want to do something live, I'll be happy to help you with that.
Okay. I mean, yeah, we could at least do it for a little while. That would be awesome.
Maybe get early.
Yeah.
Early or between maybe 4 and 5 or something. So,
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, we're starting tomorrow with well, after we get the table set up, and then we have to bolt and go to the galley meeting in the State of the State address. We both have tickets, so we'll be able to hear the governor speak and be in the room with all the representatives and the senators.
Mhm.
What time do the doors open that they let you in?
8 o'clock. And the first opening session is 10 o'clock, and the joint session with the governor is 11, and our first meeting is at 12:10.
Yeah.
Well, sounds like you're going to be busy. Tell me about these flowers. I've been hearing a lot about some flowers.
We will tell you more after it happens.
Yeah.
Oh, so
first we want to cross that finish line and make
That's
sure
right.
they're there. And then we'll tell you all about these flowers.
Right.
We
'Cause it
cannot
has
wait
been-
to tell you.
Because it has not been an easy task, and we still don't know quite how it's going to work out.
all right. Well, then
But
I'll just reserve that question for tomorrow and ask it again.
I'm very blessed
Yeah.
with my idea, but it did
Mhm.
not come easy.
No.
And I'm not sure what I would have done without Marcia. I think there would have been a lot of broken glass. Let's just say that.
Especially because of her driving.
Oh,
Yeah.
my
Well,
driving was fine.
I know y'all have been extremely busy today, and I'm sure you're exhausted. I would like to take 1 minute for the people who are watching this video to talk about the amount of work that has led up to today. For a solid year, Travis and I have been working on all these documents and research, reading law cases that Sabrina, without her help, we would have never gotten this information to the legislators at the level that she has helped us get it there. I mean, without her boots on the ground, we would not be where we are today. It's one thing to sit at home in our offices and read case law and look at, past things. This legislature did this and this one did that. And to put it all together and edit it and send it, that's one thing. But it's another to physically be at the state capitol where you have made contacts with these senators and representatives, and to be able to physically hand it to them. There is no question in my mind that without Sabrina's help, we would not be this far. And thank you, Sabrina, for all that you've done to get us here.
I am honored to do it. I look forward to doing it tomorrow. I was getting a lot of people who wanted to sit in on my meetings that Marcia and I had made, or try to join them. And I'm going to tell you right now, we took floor 11 or 12, and the way when you get off the elevator, you have some cubicles here, like 5 or 6, and 5 or 6 cubicles here. Marcia went one way and I went the other with our folders, and we went around to each desk that had a person there, and she scored a meeting with one of the representatives on that side, and I scored a meeting with one of the representatives on this side, just by stopping by their desk and saying, does the representative have any time this week to meet? And so for the people who think they can't do it, or you have to start months in advance, is that better? Yes, of course, you have a much better chance. But the one I made a meeting with said, how long do you need? And I'm like, maybe 15 minutes, because like if you get that, you're lucky. He said, well, that time slot's good for 30. And I was like, we'll take it. Right. So, I mean, yeah, it was a blessing. So it's like, if you just try, you'll be surprised at what you can actually do.
Yeah, the worst anybody can say is no. And another example is when we were with Representative Arrington, she suggested that even if we couldn't get in to see Representative Robinson, that we try to get to one of his staffers. So when we were walking around, I saw his office. I was like, hey, it's Robinson. So we went in there, and I said to his head staff person, I said, hey, I spoke to Representative Arrington, and she suggested we can't get in to see Representative Robinson that we should talk to you. I said, do you have any time? And he was like, okay, we have right now. And I was like, great. We went and we had a
He
good
took us
meeting.
right in the office
Yeah.
with the news,
Yes.
all of us. And we talked about House Bill 129 and how important it is for Rep. Robinson to add it to the agenda this session.
Mhm.
So that was I feel like that was a great meeting. I do feel like he will report back to Rep. Robinson, and we gave him this folder with all the information. And, you know, I acknowledge a lot of things, including I understand he might not want to do anything unless the Senate does, but I expect the Senate to do something.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I want Rep. Robinson to be prepared. And, you know, when it comes to that, if he doesn't have anything to meet this week with like Rep. Robinson himself, that's fine. I'm ready to schedule a different week with him because I know it's going to come up this session. You know, I feel it. And I'm okay if it's not this week.
Well, let's
We
talk.
are now, okay.
Sorry, Marcia, go ahead.
I said, we are now like requesting meetings for when we return to Tallahassee or our prospective dates.
Let's talk for a minute about the Senate. When you said that representative, you know, you think he might not do anything unless you know something's going to happen in the Senate. Let's talk about that for a minute. If I remember from a conversation you and I had yesterday, Sabrina, it might have been the day before, this is really the first year that we seem to have a good chance to get something heard in the Senate. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, and it's from the Senate Judiciary Committee chairman. Is that correct?
Yes.
Senator
And,
Yarborough. Yeah, I'm
very honored to have his attention on this matter. No other senator who was the chairman of the judiciary has ever paid this much attention to this topic like he has. So there's a lot to be done, but he's paying attention.
Yeah, and his heart seems to be in the right place. You
Yeah,
know,
and
that's my take on it.
yeah, that's huge. I mean, because legislation doesn't get changed overnight. It is a process. It's not an event. And for us to have his attention now, and I know back at the end of October, I sent him an email with a bunch of research I had done, and he responded very positively. He agreed that he understood my points and that some parts of his bill, SB 248, needed some changes made to it. And a couple of days ago, I sent him another email talking about if the conversation about caps come up. I gave him some counter arguments to putting caps on any repeal of 768. But as I was saying a minute ago, there is literally more than 1,000 hours. I would say close to 2,000 hours worth of work that Travis and I have done just in our office, reading old court cases and reading legislation and reading the 1988 task force report and picking out parts of it that we could prove was not accurate, and and how the legislature in 1990 ignored what the task force actually recommended. But to do all that work gets you nowhere if you don't have somebody like Sabrina and Marcia who is willing to bring that to the legislators in person and hand it to them and say, here's the other side.
We actually did bring up some of the points in the handout.
And to say, here's
the legislators when there was an argument against moving forward.
Yeah, and this way we can say, here's the other side of the story that the lobbyists have not told you. They have left this part of the story out. I posted some stuff in the Facebook group the other day directly from the task force study, where it said the task force recommends that the legislature does not limit the people's ability to recover damages in a med-mal case. And what did the legislature do? They limited our ability to, they went directly against the task force. So, to do the research and pull it all together is one thing, but to have somebody who can actually present it to them in person, answer their questions, is a huge part of the work that we've been doing for more than a year. And thank you. And I don't mean to leave you out, Marcia. It's just recently you've kind of gotten involved with me and Sabrina and Travis, but thank you both for the work you've done today.
Yes, yeah, I'm happy to be a part. I like Sabrina and I have been working together for a while. I think it just took a while to get me with the rest of you, because a lot of the work that I do is for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities.
Right.
So that's the, kind of the niche that I work with.
I feel like the strongest point I made today that no one could argue with was that the legislator made this law 34, I was saying, years ago now, and its goal was to reduce med mal premium rates. And still to this day, the opposition says we have some of the highest rates and that their goal was not met. And it's time that we revisit this topic.
Yeah.
And I was actually enlightened. Is that what a word I'm looking for? Educated? Is that I don't know.
Maybe.
I'm a little tired, but I became aware today that when this law was made, it was a Democrat ran legislator. Did y'all know this? Is this true?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and that's why I tried to stay in our legalized negligence group. I've tried to stay away from this Republican versus Democrat nonsense, because everybody wants to call, DeSantis the devil, but it was actually Democrats who passed this.
I did not know that.
I didn't know that either. I didn't know that.
Our first meeting of the day told us that.
Yes.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was.
And I was like, we have 5 bill sponsors this year. 3 of them are Republican, 2 are Democrat. This can happen to anyone. Right. I was shocked to hear that.
Right.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. And the other tidbit that I referred to a few times was the study about why doctors leave Florida. And one of the lowest rates, one of the reasons is not common is due to medical malpractice.
Right. Exactly. And the other thing that I pointed out, we had a podcast about a week ago, and I pointed out, they talk about the doctors that are leaving the state, but the lobbyists never talk about the doctors that are coming into the state at the same time. They're only given half of the story. Sabrina, retell that story that you told me earlier on the phone where you said the one lawmaker walked up to you and said, "Tell me why you couldn't get into court."
Oh, so that was an aide of a senator, and he said, "Why couldn't you access the court with a case for the doctor who did this to your dad?" I mean, I'm not sure anyone has ever bluntly asked me like he did. But the thing is, I think I had just got done explaining why we were there and about the law. And so when he said that, I almost felt like, is this a trick question? Did he want me to repeat myself? Like, I know I just said this. So he took all the papers out of the folder. Yeah. And I was like, that one right there, the stapled one, that is some deep research into why this law was made and why cabs were ruled unconstitutional and all this. And he said that he's going to do, I can't remember the exact word he said. He said, I'm going to do my something on this.
It was like research or due diligence or something like that.
I thought it was homework, but it was something. He was committed to looking into it.
I think he will.
He did acknowledge that the senator had been not briefed on it, but like it was on his radar. But he did say it was still early in session, and I said, well, that's good.
Well, if you bump into him again, tell him to call me and Travis, and we'll take him to school.
Well, what was interesting about the meeting is that when Sabrina first asked him if he had heard of the Wrongful Death Act, he said, "Oh, I've heard of it." But it became apparent as we were talking about it, and with a couple of other people, that they were really unaware still about the law and the efforts that for 34 years that people have been trying to change it. And so continued education and getting out there and doing the footwork and everything is very, very important.
Yeah, it is what Sabrina began to call the new approach. I wasn't calling it that early on, but that was when she started working with us sometime around the summer. She started calling it the new approach, and I thought that was fitting because basically what she was saying is we're going to bring you information that nobody has brought to you for the past 33 years. And we're going to approach getting this law changed differently than anybody has ever tried to approach it. And so, I just thought that was a really good way to explain it to people.
I'm happy with the progress today.
Yeah.
I'm naturally nervous for tomorrow because today was a lot. And we didn't even spend all day at the Capitol. We had to drive here. I just looked at my steps. I've done almost 10,000. I'm at 9,000 something steps. And that's with X amount of hours of driving time in my car. And it says I walked 4.44 miles, but I feel like it was more than that.
More than you did. 11,817.
See, mine might not. I looked at my phone. I didn't know.
I'm a walker. What can I say?
Um,
I swing my arm more often when I'm walking. That's why it picks it up.
9384. Yeah, I don't know, but
2,000 steps.
It was
You
a
get paid
lot.
by the steps.
Yeah.
it was a lot, and
It felt like twice that much.
it was a
Yeah.
lot.
And we
Y'all-
did not get a lot of sleep last night. We were up super early for the news to come, and because we wanted to get some things in the car. We had to get ready before the news even came, and they were here. They're very early.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were. It was really good though.
Yes.
It went really good. But thankfully, my car, there was no room.
No.
Oh, something else that's pretty cool. We had a GoPro. The news installed a
Oh, yeah.
GoPro in my car
Mhm.
for a little bit of our drive. So we got some really cool footage of, just us driving here. I can't wait to see how that comes out. That'll
Some
be pretty
stupid
cool.
humor too. Yeah,
I
it's kind
mean,
of funny.
They just wanted to put it in there for a little while. I
Yeah.
personally haven't ever drove with a
camera
GoPro in my car.
looking at us.
Yeah. So it was cool though. I mean, it was a really cool experience. I can't wait for tomorrow. But it's supposed to be raining and it's probably gonna be a really long line at 8 a.m.
Yes. We bought
So-
some really cheap rain ponchos. Like
Yeah.
we doubled the amount just to keep us dry. Hopefully.
Well, y'all seem
It's very
pretty
cool.
exhausted, so I don't want to keep you on here. I know you need to get some rest. You got anything else to add? Travis, you got any questions you want to present?
No, I'm good. Just I'm happy they had such a good day and smiles on their face. They're excited. That's good.
Sabrina and I work very well together, and it's been a lot of hard work, but we have a lot of fun together too. I mean, we really are kind of a meeting of the minds, respectful of each other. And, I'm sure one day we'll get on each other's nerves, but right now we're having a pretty good time in spite of the exhaustion.
Girls' night out.
You have to keep it light. I
Yeah.
do at least, because if I don't, I'll just spend the whole time crying.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's a part of the plan to make sure that I'm, keeping the mood in a certain way. Because if I'm not,
Yeah.
then I think that's when the realization sits in and remembering why I'm here, which I always remember why I'm here, don't get me wrong. But then I start thinking too deep into it. I don't want to be here. I want to be home with my
Right.
son. Like, let's just be honest. I'm sure you don't want to be here either. So, but we are, and we won't give up. I won't give up.
We're in it.
So it's hard, but if you don't keep a certain mindset, it'll be even harder. So I guess that's what I try
Yeah.
to avoid.
Both of us at certain points, in the meetings and stuff like that, got teary, choked up or something, but, we pushed through it and tried to, get our message across. We appreciate the lighter moments too.
Cool.
I can't tell you how many times our bags ran into each other, and I almost
know.
tripped over hers. And then on camera, I turned around, asked the news people a question. I didn't know they were filming. I was like, it was funny. I mean, there was a lot of funny moments.
The audio in the back.
Can't wait for the blooper reel.
Marcia had to go to the bathroom and comes out, and she's like, "How do I turn this
I think you do not
microphone?"
want an audio of this. How do we turn off this? I'm like, wait a minute. I need help.
Marcia, do you remember at the beginning of COVID when one of the Supreme Court justices went into the bathroom when she was at home and didn't think about it, and she brought her laptop with her? This was
Oh,
a US
I
Supreme.
wouldn't do that anyway.
Yeah, she didn't stop to think that, wait a minute, I'm on camera here. And they had to say, hold on a minute, stop. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you guys something funny. That it happened right when we got to the Capitol. We go in, we have our bags, and the security, the big buff security guys checking, scanning, all this stuff going through the radar. He said, any laptops or notepads, please remove
God.
them from your
And
briefcase.
she said,
So I was like, what I said, I was like, even my notepad you want me to take out? And he was like, yeah, no notepads go through. Any laptops or notepads get removed. I'm like, even the paper kind?
why? How would she even say that? I don't get it. No one's like confused.
So-
She's thinking about a notebook.
Yeah.
Like the electronic one. She's like, nope.
I'm thinking the one you write on, because I'm like, the way that I even said, I was like, terminology these days are so different from what they used to be. I'm thinking of Black's Law Dictionary in my head. So I go through, and the female officer, she was like, when you get old, it gets a little slower. And the male officer who I had said that to, he didn't hear her, and I was like, ooh. And he turned around, and I'm like, you don't want to know what she said. And she was like she was basically saying he didn't understand what I meant because he was older. But I was just trying to, I mean, it's true though. Take all your laptops and notepads out. Come on, why can't you? What you need my notepad for? It's a piece of paper.
Like the
He
electronic one.
But
Not a notepad. You shouldn't know that.
still, I thought I had to take out all my folders or something. Like, I didn't know at first.
I didn't think that at all. I was like, I got paper in there and it's staying in there. I don't have it.
Probably gave them a good laugh to start their day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And us too. So anyway, guys, thank you for having us on, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Thank you both very, very much.